Hi everyone, it's Gary Nicholson here from the Mountain Weather Information Service. This is your planning outlook on Tuesday the 23rd of July. Some very high temperatures taking us through the middle of the week as a strong plume of air comes up from the south. Nibbling into that are some cold fronts coming in from the west, and those will try and trigger off some thundery bursts of rain at times, and gradually fresher air will make inroads as we head towards the end of the week. It all becomes very slack and messy into the weekend. Confidence in absolute detail is quite low. And the overall trend, I suppose, for next week is looking more back to Atlantic weather patterns moving towards us. Let's just have a quick look at the here and now, because we've got some thunderstorms tracking northwards on Tuesday night. This off one of the forecast models. It's quite a coarse resolution, so it does tend to spread things out quite a lot. It may be in the end that there's just more discrete bands of thunderstorms running northwards into the small hours of Wednesday morning. But it's a thundery start with some torrential falls of rain possible in places for a few hours across the Highlands, soon getting out of the way for the south of Scotland and northern England with a broadly dry day in place. It may take much of the morning for it to clear across the far north, and a few bursts of rain possible in the very far north of Scotland even onwards into the afternoon. There's your chart then for Wednesday. It's this cold front that's producing the instability to trigger off those thunderstorms that sweeping northwards, temporarily ushering in slightly less humid air. It'll still be a warm feel though for most through the day. Some sunshine coming through, a bit hazy, a bit murky. It'll take a while to get going maybe in some places, and around western coasts you could be stuck with that low cloud clinging to the hills for a good part of the day. Further weather systems are waiting in the wings to the southwest of Ireland. Those will have a role to play in the later part of the week. For Thursday, we tip the flow back to the south to southeast, importing some very hot air again from the near continent, and temperatures likely to approach or top 30 degrees in many of the valleys and even highland glens. Around the Peak District, 32, 33, maybe a touch higher in some valleys is possible here. Talking about the all-time UK temperature record in the southeast of England being under threat, 38.5 degrees. That's one to watch for weather watchers. We've got a cold front encroaching in from the Atlantic, and that may trigger again some thundery bursts of rain, increasingly so later on Thursday across western regions, and maybe breaking out more widely into the night. It's a finely balanced thing just how much they will break out. Some gusty winds around from the south or southeast, maybe some gusts quite powerful to lower slopes in places. Some uncertainty how quickly a cold front will pass eastwards into Friday. It looks as though it makes good progress on this chart, but there's some school of thought that that frontal zone will be draped somewhere almost diagonally up the line of the country, so there could be some thundery bursts of rain that are around from the word go, and some that will get going as the day goes on Friday, so it may not be a clear-cut clearance of that front. It will become comparatively fresher as we just open the door to more Atlantic weather patterns. Again, gusty winds could be around in places. They will vary, and temperatures will have just come down a touch compared to Thursday. Now, for uncertainties at day 3, the fourth day ahead is not going to be any easier because it all depends just where the pattern has got to, and pressure is becoming very slack, everything moving around slowly. It could be that the front that is shown here over the North Sea is still having some role to play across the British Isles, and there may be the odd burst of rain kicking around in places. It could be that that sticks around for a while if that front just lies on top of you. Elsewhere, you could find that you get away with a largely dry day with not too much wind and some sunshine coming through. The main message is less humid, less hot. The absolute detail, though, of the weather is going to be rather awkward. So all very messy as we go through the weekend and just beyond. One to keep up to date with the forecasts. It's a situation which the computer models will struggle to handle. It's a slow-moving situation. We'll have had the heat, the energy, the humidity, some thunderstorms at work, and you have small changes in the short term. They can have big changes by the time you're 3 to 5 days ahead. Basically, it looks as though a trough of low pressure is somewhere parked out just to the west of the British Isles. We've got high pressure which is out to the east over Scandinavia. The plume of hot weather has been taken away most likely by this stage. And we're just watching to what extent the low southwest of Ireland makes inroads as we go into the early days of next week. If it does, there'll be some heavy bursts of rain around again as the instability gets to work and triggers those off. Generally, it's a fresher story, temperatures lower than what we're seeing during this week. It may be warm and humid side on the odd day, but nothing like what we're seeing at the moment, I don't think. And the overall message is one of just tipping things back round to more of an Atlantic orientation as we go onwards towards the end of the month and the start of August. It's sort of defaulting back to a typical west by southwesterly. Now, sometimes that can be the model's just favoured outcome, and it's just where they go when there's uncertainty. They just go back to what is a more typical pattern. It might be more complicated than this. By the time we get there, it might be too easy to suggest that westerly returns, but many of the indications do favour that as being the prevailing pattern as we just turn the calendar into the start of August. So what that means is some rain occasionally coming in from the Atlantic. It may not be a deeply unsettled story. It could be one where rain is mostly light and patchy, but western mountains, particularly in Scotland, could be stuck with some wet days at times. Temperatures around average, I would have thought, just maybe a bit warmer across England and Wales, where pressure will tend to be that bit higher. You'll also be comparatively drier in this part of the world too. So there we have it. We'll see how things develop over the next week or 10 days. In the short term, do take care in the very hot conditions. Make sure you're hydrated. Prepare for that very strong sunshine. Thursday really is the day, I think, where temperatures will be at their highest. Also watch out for that risk of thunderstorms in places as well. You can stay up to date, of course, with all your local forecasts on our website, updated every single day. Follow us on social media as well. Thanks for watching this video today. Bye for now.